Welcome to the season 11 premiere, Talking Time with Caffeine. I make cake to celebrate. Oh. So, to start off season 11, I thought we'd do a little discussion slash debate, comparison, contraction. I am bad at English. We are today, me and my guest, are going to talk about Marvel and DC. Now, before we get all together, let's talk about general. What's your opinion about the two different products?
Marvel and DC. For a long time, I would say that Marvel had the better movies and DC had the better animated shows. Or maybe just shows in general. Like, that's the best way I can describe it. Like when it comes to, how I got introduced to, the Marvel universe proper. I mean, also Marvel has the better games overall. Like DC, there are good DC games, but quite a few of them are shitty. In fact, some of them, like Superman 64, Batman Beyond, Return of the Joker, Batman Dark Tomorrow, Aquaman Battle for Atlantis, they rank among the worst games ever made, period. And those are all DC games. Marvel, on the other hand, you have like some of the best games ever made, like Spider-Man 2, the Marvel vs. Capcom series, Spider-Man PS4, the X-Men arcade game people really like. There's a couple other great X-Men games like Mutant Academy, X-Men Legends, X-Men Origins Wolverine. Yeah, so, I mean, DC has good games too, like the Batman Arkham series, but, I mean, it's a running joke that Superman's never had a good game for a reason. But, anyways, so...
Yeah, well, for
how
me...
I got introduced to the Marvel universe was through Marvel Ultimate Alliance, because that, divisive as that game might be, because some people love it, some people hate it, it does a great job introducing you to basically all the major players, like in the Marvel universe. But DC, I got introduced through the DC animated universe. Stuff like Batman the Animated Series, Superman the Animated Series, Batman Beyond, Justice League, Static Shock.
Oh yeah, I remember those now.
Yeah.
Yeah, same way for me. The 90s Batman series and maybe a few Superman series and Batman Beyond definitely. Well, I didn't watch that Sock, but I also watched the 90s X-Men and the 90s Spider-Man.
Yeah, let's just say there is an effort to connect like X-Men, Spider-Man, and some other Marvel animated shows into the Marvel animated universe, but their connections are a lot more loose. Largely because it was often different staff and like entirely different studios working. They may have aired on the same channel, most of them. Well, yeah, most of them, because like Hulk aired on a rival network from where the rest of them aired.
As for movies, personally, this is just my opinion. This is my opinion, so take it with a grain of salt. But the last DC movie I actually enjoyed was the Kristen Bale Batman trilogy.
I did actually kind of like the new Suicide Squad they made. The one made by, like, it's funny. Some people I follow on Twitter, as well as, a couple of friends I have, like Dark Lord Shadow and like a few others, they keep track of what is known as the Snyder Cult. Basically, they are a massive group of fanboys that are pissed off that Zack Snyder, the one who made like Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, like basically all the dark and edgy DC movies that not a whole lot of people liked, They are a massive cult that is pissed off that he's no longer involved with making DC movies, and they go through extreme measures protesting to get him back.
Yeah, I did hear that they're thinking about rebooting the DC universe again.
They are, with James Gunn, the guy who did like the Guardians movies. He was funny story about that. You know, James Gunn, how he is now the head of like making DC movies. And that all happened because he was a victim of cancel culture.
Like what?
Basically, somebody who was like, people like to joke that cancel culture is like always like left wing. Nah, this time it was a right wing person who decided he didn't like James Gunn, so he unsurfaced like some old offensive tweets he made, and it got James Gunn in a knee jerk reaction fired from Disney, making Guardians 3. So because of that, he was fired from Guardians 3. Disney, like trying to keep their clean image, said he was never coming back. So what happened was the Guardians of the Galaxy cast, like kind of low key said, yeah, we support James Gunn. Please bring him back. And like pretty much everybody agreed that firing him was wrong for stuff that he regretted from his past. Well,
yeah, even though it was bad then, some people can admit they make mistakes.
well, DC had scooped him up to make a new Suicide Squad movie. So even when Disney finally realized their mistake and hired him back on, he was already too busy with the Suicide Squad movie to devote his attention to Guardians 3, which is why Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 has taken so long to come out. It's finally coming out this year, but he had to finish Suicide Squad first.
So he's still the director of it then, so it won't be a totally
Yeah, he is still the director. It's just, and because of how much DC had let him have control of Suicide Squad, they decided that he was going to become the new head of like making DC movies, and that all happened because of Disney knee-jerk firing him.
Wow.
Even though they rehired him, DC basically stole him away.
Nice. Well, two things real fast that reminds me of. One, this DC, jumping back from DC and Marvel thing reminds me of when the director or writer, whatever it was, of the new Star Trek movies jumped over to make the Star Wars movies. I forget what his name was. But he directed both Star Wars and Star Trek movies.
J.J. Abrams.
Yeah. The other one is I did enjoy Shazam movie. I did enjoy that.
Oh yeah,
more
Shazam.
It's a funny thing.
Well, it's
more
funny
of a comedy thing than
because
actual.
the thing is, they're doing a complete hard reset of the DC movies. Originally, it was believed they were going to be recasting everyone. Like lots of people were like in an uproar because Black Adam, the most recent DC movie, had the guy who played Superman in Man of Steel back for a post-credit scene, and he formally announced. So this is Henry Cavill. He formally announced that he was going to be coming back to the DC movies for good. Just last month, they confirmed he's not actually coming back.
Yeah, because
freaking, they're hitting the reset button and they're recasting a lot of the actors. Some of them they actually might be keeping, and Shazam is one of them.
Hello.
Hey.
Oh, he's here. He's here.
Yeah, sorry about that. Right after work, I had to go pick up my dog. I'm from doggy daycare, so it took me a little bit longer. But hey, I'm finally here.
So still have fun with his friends?
Oh yeah, definitely. So what all did I miss?
Just the beginning. We're talking about the basic DC Marvel comparison movies, comics, anime, TV shows.
From what I can tell Schnick was talking about the recent announcement of the DC reboot?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Yeah, there's been some outrage about that.
Yeah, the Snyder cult.
Yeah, just the thing that irks me the most is that from what I heard, they're going to do a live action Batman Beyond with Michael Keaton. If that is true, and if they cancel that, then
Supposedly,
I'm pissed.
Then supposedly it is canceled.
And okay, am I allowed to cuss here?
I'm not. I don't get.
I curse.
I don't get. What's the word? Not sponsors. I don't get. I'm not. Whatever that word is, I don't get it anyway. So does it matter?
Okay, so I was going to say it. If that's true, then that's bullshit.
But yeah.
Now, I totally understand rebooting the DCEU because, let's be frank, it hasn't been doing that very well. It hasn't been doing very well with critics. Even financially, you know, Batman v Superman underperformed at the box office. And, you know, people have made it very clear that they didn't really like those movies anyway. So, I mean, I definitely will admit, like, that the Zack Snyder version of Justice League is way, way, way better than the original version. But, yeah, I mean, I totally get why that they want to reboot it. But to cancel the Batman Beyond Michael Keaton movie, that is bullshit.
So, like, Michael Keaton would be the old Batman mentoring the younger one?
Yep. And fans have wanted to see that for the longest time. And, you know, money talks. And, you know, if you give the fans what they want, you will make bank off of it. And proof, Spider-Man No Way Home. Fans made it really clear that they wanted to see all the live-action Spider-Man actors in the same movie, in a live-action Spider-Verse movie. We got it, and it ended up breaking box office records. So it's pretty clear. You give the fans what they want.
Speaking of the Spider-Man real fast, I don't know. Does Marvel have one or two universes? Or are they both the same now with the multiverse thing? Because there's the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and then now there's the Sonyverse with the Sony villain.
Yeah. You know, lots of people were really hoping they would retcon the Amazing Spider-Man movies to be, like, set in the same, like, universe as, like, Venom and Morbius and all that, but apparently it's impossible because a prison that both continuities use is, like, completely different. So I guess because lots of people were saying that one way they could have Andrew get another movie is by fighting Venom.
Which I think could be fitting because there was that one scene in Spider-Man No Way Home, like where Andrew Spider-Man said, where Andrew Spider-Man said that he wanted to fight an alien.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we know crossover, but what was I talking about? But yeah, and there's so far at least so far, I think the Sonyverse have made all of Spider-Man's enemies more like anti-heroes than they are actual bad guys. Like Morbius and Venom are more like anti-heroes, I think, in the movies.
Right, yeah.
But
I mean, it will be kind of tedious to see Batman rebooted yet again because, you know, it's because if they did already reboot Batman yet again last year with Robert Pattinson. So that will be kind of tedious, but, you know, I hope that they at least will give us a good movie.
I mean, we could hope that the Robert Pattinson one is the one that's in the reboot continuity.
I hope so. I don't want to.
Yeah, so that way it's less confusing.
Hey, was that Joker movie about in the DC universe?
No, the Joker movie was in its own continuity too.
Okay.
Yeah. I do remember hearing rumors that the Joaquin Phoenix Joker was going to be in the same universe as the Robert Pattinson Batman, but then that got debunked. It's because that there was that deleted scene that showed its own version of the Joker. So
Right.
yeah, that's not going to happen.
Oh, by the
Yeah,
way,
yeah. Well, I don't even think it's a deleted scene. I think he still appears at the very end of like the Batman, the Robert Pattinson one.
real fast, Eric. By the way, make cake to celebrate our 11th anniversary.
All righty, 11 years. Holy crap!
All right, but we got the general stuff down. Let's go into specifics, like Avengers versus Justice League. The two groups.
So I have a feeling that a movie about that might happen someday because Disney's been doing like a real life version of Monopoly, and they've been trying to buy every company out there. I'm not going to be surprised if they try to buy Warner,
especially with Warner Brothers literally going down in flames under its new CEO.
Discovery Channel.
Yeah.
It's funny because you would think that the two biggest comic properties would want to do some kind of like big crossover to like get like big money for like both studios, but they, outside of comics, they've refused to do any kind of crossover.
Yeah, the only thing similar I can think of is when Sony allowed Marvel and Disney to use Spider-Man, but something like that is extremely rare.
Yeah, like I remembered reading an article somewhere that claimed a Marvel versus DC thing would be impossible, and I want to see what you both think of this argument. Because they can't just be a team up, it has to be a versus movie, and they're
I don't think it should be versus.
Be a winner.
No, if they do a versus movie could work if they build it up and not just here's random people fighting each other, because we know how well that worked with Batman v Superman.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why the MCU worked and why the DCEU did not. And so to counter that argument, you could make it both ways. It's a versus movie and a team up movie. Proof of that, Godzilla versus Kong. That was both a versus movie and a team up movie. Sorry if I just spoiled Godzilla versus Kong, to all the people watching who haven't seen it. But I think you could have it both ways.
Okay, now talk about the similar differences. They're both team ups, right? But from at least except for like this is from at least my memory and stuff. Like, except for the low level like Spider-Man, Daredevil, and stuff, most of the Avengers secret identities are known, but the DC secret identities aren't known. I mean, the Justice League aren't known. Secret identities are a secret, but for Avengers, everyone knows who they are, and it's a civilian form.
Well, I guess it depends on what continuity you go with. There have been a few times in the comics where some people have figured out Superman's identity and Batman's identity,
but not the public as a whole most of the time.
Not that I know of off the top of my head. I mean, maybe there's some universe out there where that does happen, but as far as I know, no.
Except for maybe like Spider-Man, who wants to keep his identity a secret for reasons. Most of the Avengers know who they are. Captain Rogers, Tony Stark, Natasha. They all we know who we are.
Yep. Yeah.
So sorry.
Sorry.
I'm gonna say, what are the similarities between the two? Team ups.
Both of them have a team. Both seem to have their arch nemesis or nemesis, whatever the plural is. It also seems like that both of them have like a rich billionaire who doesn't have superpowers.
Yeah, we'll get to that in the next slide.
Yeah, and Yeah, that's what I can come up with. What about you?
But yeah, well, real fast before I almost forgot the thing. I might be wrong about this, but the last slide. Like it seems like most of the DC universe are in fictional cities, while the Marvel stuff is in real life Earth cities.
It's funny because depending on the continuity in DC, the real life cities also exist with the fictional ones. Like you have like recently an animated movie I saw was Batman versus the TMNT.
Oh yeah,
And the Ninja Turtles still come from New York City in that continuity. They even joke how Gotham City is basically the same as New York City.
but to Eric's point, the two billionaires with no powers.
just a just by huge coincidence. Big coincidence.
Yeah. Like both no powers, they made their own costumes and they pay for it with their own money, pretty much.
Yeah, so you can argue that money is their superpower, or you also could argue that you also could,
Intelligence?
yeah. You could argue that as well. So and I'm gonna be real with you. Before the first Iron Man movie came out, I never even heard of Iron Man, which I believe was one of the reasons why Marvel was kind of reluctant about turning that into a movie because Iron Man wasn't as well known as say Spider-Man or Hulk, but obviously they made the movie anyway, and then it paid off, and because of that, Iron Man now is one of the most well-known superheroes out there.
It's
Yeah, I
funny
only.
because I did know who Iron Man was because he had a brief appearance on Spider-Man, like the
Yes.
animated series.
About to
He was
say.
also basically one of the main characters of the first Marvel Ultimate Alliance, which I played. But yeah, he did have his own animated series that ran alongside Spider-Man, except the first season was garbage, and the second season was good, but not enough to save it. I just remember around the time the movie was coming out, Jetix on Toon Disney, it's now Disney XD, but they were doing a marathon of all of the second season of the Iron Man show, basically to promote the movie.
Is it on Disney Plus now? Or?
The Iron Man animated series, yes, it
Yeah.
is.
All right. So you go check it
I think
out. Also, something
Yeah,
that I.
the intro of the second season goes hard. Like it is like you have Tony Stark rocking out a mullet, shirtless, hammering his Iron Man suit to like this massive heavy metal theme. Yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
when he mentioned heavy metal, what I thought was perfect about the first Iron Man movie was that in all the marketing, I can't remember if the song is in the movie. I thought it was perfect, like how they used Iron Man by Black Sabbath. That is the perfect song.
And it's funny, the lyrics of the animated Iron Man literally does have the I am Iron Man, except it's sung differently.
but also, I thought another similarity between the two. Both of their parents were killed. Like we know Batman's parents were killed, obviously,
Oh
but in
yeah,
Civil War we learned Iron Man's parents were killed
yep.
when they were young. I'm not sure. I forget how young Tony was when his parents were killed. I think he would be high school age maybe.
I'm not sure, uh, but yeah, I, that's probably in the comics, I imagine. But maybe in some versions of the comics, they change up the origin a little bit. I'm not entirely sure.
So besides uh one costume made of iron, obviously, and the other costume made of whatever Batman's costume is made of. It changes. It changes from season to season, from continuity to continuity. What are the
Yeah.
differences between the two? What are the differences between the two of them?
Well, I know that in the Adam West show, his suit was made of spandex, and then Batman's suit eventually was made out of metal, which makes sense, so in that way he can protect himself from bad guys where they shoot him with a gun. That makes sense. But Iron Man suit mostly is built for flying. Batman, the Batman Beyond suit, yes, definitely can fly, but Batman mostly just glides. So yeah, so I guess that's a big difference between Batman and Iron Man.
What about you, Snick?
I mean, I guess you could say Batman's the darker of the two, like the
Oh,
darker
definitely.
tone.
Pretty hard to do an Iron Man from the shadows, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say, like, I don't know, tone-wise, I guess you could say Batman's a bit closer to, like, Daredevil or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, think about that.
Yeah.
Unless if you're talking about the Adam West Batman, or even the one with George Clooney.
Yeah. You know, it's funny, a couple of friends of mine have actually admitted they defend the that Batman and Robin because because the thing with the Batman and Robin is that on purpose it was like going for like the tone of like the Adam West series.
I can see that.
Like, and the whole thing is like that, like it like that's why they enjoy it, because it knows what it wants to do. But the reason why lots of people hate it is because that's not what they wanted. They wanted something like the Tim Burton movies, like Batman 89, Batman Returns, the animated series.
And one thing that I will admit that's bad about Batman and Robin, it's just, Bruce Wayne's girlfriend in the movie, she felt so pointless in the movie. She had no impact on the story. I really feel like that you could have cut her character out, and the movie would have been no different.
I don't even recall him having a girlfriend in Batman and Robin.
And seeing that proves my point. It just proves like just how forgettable that.
Yeah, that was the one with Lisa Silverstone, right?
Where she played Batgirl, yeah.
Also, was it just that movie, or was it other companies? Because usually, at least from what I remember, she's the commissioner's granddaughter or daughter.
Yeah, this time she was like the niece of Alfred, I think.
Yeah, is that happened before, or that's just for that movie alone?
I think, as far as I know, only that movie.
Yeah, and from what I know, the reason why they changed that was because the commissioner was just such a minor character that they didn't really see a point, and so they thought, hey, Alfred's a bigger character in these movies, so how about we make Batgirl Alfred's niece?
Was we fine if no one knew who we fine probably if no one knew who she was to begin with.
Yeah.
But that's the thing I know about some fans is if certain continuity isn't kept, they get vocal about it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And it was an interesting choice that they got Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze. It's a really interesting choice, but I guess for the tone of the movie, I guess it works.
I mean, even people who can't stand the movie admit like the final scene where like he gives up the cure to save Alfred, like there actually is like genuine emotion in that.
Yeah, I can
Not
see
to
that.
mention they use like his backstory from the animated series.
Yep.
Instead of like the 60s, like the original because really Mr. Freeze was a joke villain until like the animated series.
Yep, and that's what I love about Batman the animated series. It's like that they took a joke of the villain and they made him one of the more complex villains and one of
sympathetic villains, because I think he's one of the few villains that actually has a reason to be evil.
Yep. Yeah, he's not bad just for the sake of being bad, It's because he loves his wife and and he just wants to help find his wife a cure. So yeah, and I know that there was going to be a sequel to Batman and Robin called Batman Triumphant. It was going to have Nicolas Cage or Howard Stern as the Scarecrow, and they're going to have Madonna play Harley Quinn.
And they apparently would have brought back Jack Nicholson as the Joker via hallucination.
Yep, that was what I heard. And Harley Quinn Harley Quinn was going to be the Joker's daughter rather than the Joker's girlfriend. Why? I have no idea.
Yeah, I guess it's a good thing they did reboot that with the Christian Bale series.
Yeah, and even before the Nolan movies, there were multiple other attempts. Like they're going to do Batman Year One. They also were going to do a Batman Beyond movie, but then that got scrapped, and even a Batman Superman movie, then that got scrapped.
I thought they did do that.
Well, I mean, eventually, yeah.
In real life, I think I was talking about. They did. I was thinking of the cartoon movie in the '90s or early 2000s.
Well, yeah. I'm not talking cartoon movies. I'm talking live action movies, and I believe for the Batman Superman movie, they're going to try at that time. I believe they're trying to get Josh Hartnett to play Superman. So, interesting choice. I know there were other canceled Batman movies, but I just don't remember what they are. So
apparently there was an attempt to get a Batman Beyond movie made back in that time.
Yep.
So
yeah,
it's a shame that it never happened. But hey, to think if it happened, we may never have gone the Christopher Nolan movies.
Yeah. Well, at least we got the Batman animated Joker movie.
Yeah.
Batman Beyond, I mean.
Yeah, Batman Beyond Return of the Joker, yeah.
Yeah, which I will admit is one of the best Batman movies ever made.
Yeah, it is.
What next?
Yes, I would love to see that fight.
Yeah.
All right. So, what's our similarities?
Well, both are.
Go on.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Yeah, both are big. Both definitely have the size advantage. Yeah, and both seem to have similar goals, and both have a similar design. And yeah, and both seem really, really powerful and strong, but they also seem smart at the same time. So yeah, what do you got?
They both have armies they control, obviously.
Yep.
And for some reason, I guess they're both obviously they're both come to Earth.
Yep.
But
that's a fight I would love to see. But I feel like Thanos, if he had the Infinity Stones, he would have the advantage. So if he has the stones, then I think that maybe he could win.
I mean, it's funny because I like doing like crossover stories like on my own time. I've thought of a scenario where basically it's an Infinity War situation where Thanos uses the gauntlet, snaps half of all life from the multiverse and all that. But then Darkseid becomes aware of the gauntlet and he wants to get it for himself to find the anti-life equation. So basically it's like a big war between the two.
So I guess it's unlucky. I guess lucky for him that he wasn't one of the half that disappeared.
But yep, in that situation. But yeah, I guess like because their goal, like that's like one difference between like Thanos' ultimate goal is like get the gauntlet and then he snaps away half of all life. But his reason for doing so is different depending on the continuity. Like in the MCU, he claims it's like for resources and all that. Like he thinks the universe will be grateful for it. Except in most other continuities, it was literally because he just wanted to impress Death, who is a woman in the Marvel continuity.
Wow.
Basically, he just wanted to impress a woman.
I can see why they would change it.
Yeah. Then, meanwhile, Darkseid is after something called the anti-life equation. And I had to do, like, a lot of looking up, because exactly what the anti-life equation is depends on the continuity, but generally, it's basically, it proves with mathematical certainty that life is hopeless. And essentially, it can be used to mind slave everybody to bend the Darkseid's will.
Okay.
So that's
definitely evil.
That's generally what it is. It varies between continuities, but yeah.
So, question for you. Let's say if both of them had a battle, who do you think would win?
It would depend, yeah, because I mean, Darkseid has its Omega beams. I don't know if Thanos could like fire like lasers or anything like that.
Like,
Yeah,
does Thanos have any powers himself besides this pure strength without the Infinity Gauntlet?
I mean, he is a very skilled fighter. I mean, you saw in Avengers Infinity War, he took out the Hulk on his own.
But I think at that point he already had the Power Stone by that point.
I don't even think he used any of the stones to take him out.
I thought you already had the Power Stone by then.
I think he did, but I don't think he really used it. Unless I'm just misremembering.
I have to rewatch it and check if it were wearing his glove.
yeah. I haven't seen Infinity War ever since I saw it at the theater, and that was back in 2018. So,
but if I guess I would have to give it to because I don't know what Titan. He's the only Titan I know, so I don't know other the other. So I don't have any for the other Titans of the Marvel universe. I don't know if they're strong by themselves or what. So I guess I'd give it to Darkseid at this point, for what I know of both of them.
yeah.
I mean, or you can go with Superman 64's interpretation of Darkseid, where apparently all Superman has to do to beat him is deck him in the face a few times, and to add insult to injury, he puts him in a prison cell for regular inmates.
Yeah, but yeah. That game is notorious for being one of the worst video games ever made, and
Yep.
I've seen the Angry Video Game Nerds review of it. I can see why.
I strongly recommend watching a review of Superman 64 by a user called Dark Lord Jado, or DL Jado as he goes by now. Because I mean, well, he's a friend of mine now after I watched him for like 10 years. But he was the first person I was aware of who did a full review of Superman 64. Like back in the day, everybody would never play past the first stage. They would always just go, oh, this game has you fly through rings. It sucks. Bye. Granted, AVGN did go back to actually finish it like years after the fact, but no, DL Jado, he covered everything in the game, and it gets worse after the first stage.
Wow.
It gets even worse than that.
That wasn't. I can't remember. That wasn't one of the games you reviewed, is it?
No, I never reviewed it. I didn't even play it for the channel. I don't think.
Yeah. Mario 64 was hard, but probably it was no Shrek on Xbox game.
No.
All right. Let's see. Next, Ultron versus Brainiac.
That'd be a good fight.
Yeah.
Both are very similar. I'm stumped. I don't know who would win.
I'm thinking.
Otherwise, I say tie.
I don't know. Like, I feel like Ultron mainly has to like make use of like Earth technology, but Brainiac is like galactic wide, I guess you could say.
Well, who knows what Ultron could have done if he had left Earth, you know?
Well, then again, Ultron is shown to be super powerful as well on his own.
So about Brainiac, according to rumor, I don't know how true this is. They were trying to make a Superman movie around the 90s. I don't know if it was Superman Lives, probably some other canceled Superman movie. I heard maybe Tim Allen was going to play Brainiac. I don't know how true that is, but can you imagine that? Tim Allen as Brainiac?
Also, the planned Man of Steel sequel that was going to have Henry Cavill coming back and everything that got canceled because of all the reshuffling, they've confirmed that they were planning Brainiac for the movie.
That would have been cool.
Yeah, they were planning Brainiac, but now that's not going to happen.
Did they say who they were going to cast?
No, they just said that they were going to have him.
Man, I wish I could have seen that.
Now, I've heard in this in the MCU he was created by Tony Stark, but I've heard in some some continuity he was created by Hank Pym.
Yeah, that is true. In fact, Vision was originally created by Ultron, but then Vision ended up gaining his own independence and he joined the heroes instead.
And I think, at least from the universes that I've been on, Brainiac sometimes comes from Krypton itself.
Yes, like in the DCAU, like Superman the animated series, he was from Krypton itself. And the thing is, like in the premiere episode of Superman the animated series, when Jor-El finds out that like Krypton's gonna blow up and everybody's gonna die, he finds out that Brainiac knew this for a while. Because like Brainiac was basically like their supercomputer that ran everything, like kept society functioning. And as it had turned out, Brainiac knew for a long time that the planet was going to explode. But when Jor-El asked why he didn't warn them, Brainiac said that would have required making an evacuation plan, and Brainiac's first priority was getting itself out of there.
I think he was also from Krypton in the Smallville series too.
Well,
Yeah.
I haven't seen Smallville, so I wouldn't know
Yeah,
that.
I've seen most of it. One of the things during the very early episodes, a lot of it would repeat itself about the plot a lot, like how somebody would discover Clark Kent has powers, him and his parents would try to hide it. So it got really repetitive during the first early episodes. Excuse me. But then as the show went on, they were going to get a little bit more creative. So yeah, I will admit this. Smallville has the best version of Lex Luthor we have ever had.
So it's a damn shame that they couldn't get him back for the mega crossover episode for the Arrowverse.
Yeah.
Like apparently he wanted to come back, but Warner Brothers just gave him like the silent treatment.
That's a shame.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, in that series, Brainiac was played by Spike from Buffy.
I can't remember that, but
yeah, for other things I knew, Brainiac, he apparently in some universes he creates like a zoo like a zoo of a different species of different planets.
yeah.
But yeah.
Well, at least in the DCAU, Brainiac's entire purpose is that he wanted to go around basically collecting all knowledge from every planet and then blow the planet up.
So no one else could have it.
Either that or basically he just wanted to make sure there was no more knowledge to collect or something. I'm not sure.
What was Ultron's purpose?
That I don't fully remember. I think, well, at least in the MCU continuity, when Tony Stark created him, it was like to be like an automated like defense thing, but then he became self-aware.
Yeah, he decided the biggest threat to Earth are the humans, so get rid of the humans.
Yeah. So basically, Ultron is like the Marvel version of Skynet.
Yeah, he got through the internet fast.
So yeah,
Aquaman and Namor.
I've never even heard of Namor. So
he was the villain, hero villain in the Black Panther 2 movie.
I haven't seen Black Panther 2, so
yeah.
I know a little bit about Namor only because there is a chapter related to him in Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Like, basically, there's a chapter where you go to Atlantis because it's being attacked by, like, Dr. Doom, who's, like, the villain of the game. And essentially, like, Namor was captured and, like, and you have to save him, or else you get like a bad ending where like all the people of Atlantis turn against like the surface dwellers. Like basically, so that's the similarity between Namor and Aquaman. Oh, another name for Namor is the Submariner.
Yeah. Does that mean a demon? That demon?
No,
Submariner,
I think, is just his hero name, I guess you could say.
Oh, yeah. In the okay, for everyone listening now, spoilers. And in this movie, yeah, I'm not sure if he's more. I'm not sure if he was a.
So
What? Okay, I'm not sure if he was a hero or a villain, but the thing that I don't know you're visited, but apparently they have vibranium there, and they got it. But that's why they try to create a war to keep the vibranium. But and the they come from like the Mexican Inca civilization. That's where his ancestry came from. But other than that, I don't know what Aquaman's ancestry is.
Yeah,
I mean, a similarity between the two is that they both run their own version of Atlantis. So that's one similarity.
And and I remember people would diss on Aquaman for the longest time because they would base it off of the interpretation from Super Friends. But yeah, I feel like that the movie with Jason Momoa, I feel like that it helped people take Aquaman more seriously.
I mean, Justice League certainly tried to take him a bit more seriously, like the animated series.
Yeah.
But I mean, it probably did not help one certain thing. Because here's the deal. Before I knew who Aquaman even was, I was a viewer of SpongeBob. So I saw Mermaid Man before I saw Aquaman. So when I'm seeing Aquaman, I'm like, what's Mermaid Man? I think I saw like some other animated thing that with Aquaman, like, or no, I just see Aquaman somewhere. I'm like, what's Mermaid Man doing here?
How do you get so skinny?
How do you get so skinny indeed, yes.
No, I'm not gonna lie. That is pretty funny.
Yeah.
So now we're on the topic of Aquaman. So I feel like we have to address the elephant in the room with Aquaman 2, with Amber Heard.
Yeah.
So there were like 6 million people that I know of who signed the petition for Amber Heard to not be in the movie. Quite frankly, I can see why. And from what I've heard from some test screenings, Amber Heard is still in it.
Well, then again, people don't want Ezra Miller to be in the new Flash movie because Ezra Miller did some very, very messed up stuff. But Warner Brothers is extremely adamant that they still keep them in the movie.
Which has caused controversy because they're like, okay, we're going to get rid of Henry Cavill, but we're going to keep Ezra Miller in the reboot series.
Or at the very least, they're keeping them for the Flash movie before they reboot it.
Yeah, and so there's been some controversy about that. And from what I heard for the Flash, they were already too far into post-production to just go back and refilm his scenes. So I heard that that's the reason why that they didn't get rid of him. If that is the reason, then I can understand that. To be honest with you, the only reason why I even want to watch the Flash movie is not for Ezra Miller, but just to see Michael Keaton back.
Hopefully his scenes are still in, because I was hearing rumors that they were taking him out.
If that's true, then I'm not going to watch it.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that was just some BS, because they were also going to have Michael Keaton in the Batgirl movie, and then that got canceled.
So I'm like, great. So So you wasted Michael Keaton's time.
Hopefully he's still in the Flash. Hopefully he's still there.
I hope so. But yeah,
Yeah.
with Amber Heard though, if Amber Heard still is in the movie, I can tell you this: the movie is going to suffer at the box office because the general public has made it very, very clear they do not like Amber Heard and they will not support her.
Yeah.
So if they keep her in the movie, that is a bad business move.
Yes.
What do you two say about that?
Yeah, well, not that. I agree with you, but also they might be an opinion that controversy sells.
Yeah, maybe.
Unless they keep it a secret, they say because they lie. Could they get in trouble for saying that she's not in it, but she's in it anyways? They don't tell anyone. Like, oh, we lied. She's in there anyways. But by the time they already got their
Yeah.
money.
Amber Heard even said that the studio didn't even want her back anyway, and that Amber Heard had to fight just for her to come back. And if she is in it, she's not in it a whole lot.
Yeah.
She's in it for like 8 or so minutes.
And it's off topic, but it's the same thing that happened with Johnny Depp in the pirate movies.
Yeah. So what happened was Disney took Amber's side before the trial even happened, and then Disney kicked Johnny Depp off of the Pirates franchise, and then Warner Brothers also sided with Amber, and then they kicked him off of the Fantastic Beasts series. So that's why they replaced him with Mads Mikkelsen. But then the last Fantastic Beasts underperformed at the box office, so now the Fantastic Beasts franchise is in limbo. And to be honest with you, I never really cared for the Fantastic Beasts movies anyway. I thought that they were boring.
It shouldn't have been 5 movies like they were planning. It should have just been 3.
It's all based on one book, it's based on one book anyways.
It's not even based on a book. It was like a new original thing.
Yeah, where it's like a spin-off of the Harry Potter franchise. It's because Warner Brothers still wants to cash in on the success of Harry Potter. And since that they ended the Harry Potter franchise, the movie franchise with Deathly Hallows, they're like, well, we want to continue it somehow, so let's make a spin-off of it.
I think they learned a lesson when they tried to make that spin-off of that play they did.
Yeah, I am wondering why they never made a movie out of the play.
So I heard the play storyline sucked.
That could be the reason.
Perhaps. And didn't J.K. Rowling write like a Harry Potter book that's like written in the form of a movie script that hasn't been made? That's like a sequel to Deathly Hallows?
That could have been the play.
Maybe. I think so. I haven't heard anything about if it's good or not, but
also different real fast is I don't think Namor can control sea life, but Aquaman can.
Oh yeah.
I don't feel like there's anything more to say. So, yes, this would be good.
One side.
Yeah. Freaking. Apparently, so Deathstroke came first, and Deadpool. If you can believe it, Deadpool was originally conceived basically as just a straight Marvel version of Deathstroke. Like, in like the, I don't know what it was, late 80s, early 90s, Deadpool's earliest appearances just had him as like a straight hitman, kind of like what Deathstroke is. It wasn't until like maybe the late 90s, early 2000s that they made Deadpool his own thing, to say the least.
Yeah, like it was around then was when they made him, break the fourth wall, which, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that was the first time ever where a comic book superhero ever broke the fourth wall.
Maybe, I think.
I could be wrong, but I have that feeling.
Now, in this new phase, is Deadpool going to be in the MCU, or is...
Yeah, they confirmed Deadpool 3 is going to bring Deadpool to the MCU with Ryan Reynolds coming back. And they confirmed Hugh Jackman's going to be in as Wolverine, meaning that Hugh Jackman's Wolverine will appear in the MCU.
They've already had Charles Xavier in it, so
yeah.
Which is going to fulfill Hugh Jackman's wish, because Hugh Jackman has made it very clear that he would love to join the MCU as Wolverine. So
we can also hope that because I think Hugh Jackman once said he really wanted to get the chance to fight the Hulk. So I guess we could hope Mark Ruffalo's going to be in Deadpool 3.
Mm-hmm. But I can't see that happening because, Marvel can't make a solo Hulk movie, so
try to use them.
But at this point, when let's say went back in time during the blip years, when they be fighting Smart Hulk and not the big Hulk.
Well, it would still be Hulk, because don't forget there was a time like in the mid to late 90s where it was like Smart Hulk that was like the main Hulk, because you could even see it like in the Marvel vs. Capcom games, like from the first one all the way to Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Hulk was actually based on Smart Hulk in those. Like, he talks more intelligently. His fighting game, his endings, like in Marvel Superheroes and all that, has him like wearing like a business suit clothing and Hulk form.
I also feel like you could get away with it with the multiverse, because you could say that there's another more angry version of Hulk, so you could get away with it from that too.
Yeah.
Okay, what are the differences between the two?
Well, obviously, Deadpool's like more of a parody character, whereas Deathstroke is usually played straight.
Yeah.
Of course, a popular version of Deathstroke would be Slade from Teen Titans, who is not a whole lot like Deadpool in the original Deathstroke.
Weren't they going to have Deathstroke in that canceled Ben Affleck Batman movie?
They were building up to it, but it's funny. They had Deathstroke on Arrow. Then they got rid of him for a few seasons. They brought him back, and they had to get rid of him again just because they were planning because DC has this stupid, like, DC is well known for these stupid embargoes they do, where apparently only one version of a lot of DC characters can exist at a time. And because of that, they got rid of Deathstroke on Arrow just so they could build up to that freaking Ben Affleck Batman, where that was going to have Deathstroke, because the farthest they got was just having Deathstroke in like the Justice League post-credit scene.
And I believe they even cast Deathstroke.
I don't know who was cast as him in the Justice League post-credit scene, but he's not playing him anymore.
Yep, so I bet the Arrowverse is pissed now.
Well, they were pissed because Arrow's over now.
Yeah. Does Deathstroke heal like Deadpool does?
No, he doesn't. Though, that said, at least the Arrowverse version of Deathstroke had a basically elixir called Mirakuru that gave him like super strength, and I think like small healing abilities, but then he was cured of it.
That's all I know about him. So, you know anything else about these two?
I didn't know who Deadpool was up until like 2011. I was texting my friend Danny. I said, "Hey, who's your favorite superhero?" And he mentioned Deadpool. I was like, "Oh, I've never heard of Deadpool." And then, and Deadpool at one point was one of the more like underground superheroes. But then after that, Deadpool really hit the mainstream, especially when the first movie came out.
Yeah. My first exposure to Deadpool was in Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1. And when I first saw him, at first I literally thought he was just another costumed version of Spider-Man.
Didn't Deadpool make his first appearance in the movie universe in one of the X-Men movies?
No, oh yeah, X-Men Origins Wolverine, and that version of him was botched. Very botched.
Oh my god. At least Ryan Reynolds got to redeem himself afterwards.
Yeah, and then you have that post-credit scene in Deadpool 2 where he transports himself to the X-Men Origins Wolverine time period. You see the shitty Deadpool in there, and then he gets shot repeatedly over and over and over again.
Yep.
Sometimes,
and then right after Ryan Reynolds goes to shoot himself, Deadpool goes to shoot Ryan Reynolds, shooting himself for reading the Green Lantern script. So yeah.
Next is Strange and Fate.
Ooh, that would be a good one.
Now, Dr. Fate. Now, if I remember, he Dr. Fate. Was that the guy that was in the Black Adam movie?
Yeah, that was him. He's played by Pierce Brosnan of James Bond fame.
Oh, speaking of Doctor Strange, I know he was in Sherlock, but I just remembered watching a back of what's that show called? Screen Junkies. I almost totally forgot he was Khan in the new Star Trek reboot.
Yeah,
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, yeah. That was Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah.
I heard the original choice was Joaquin Phoenix, but Joaquin Phoenix said no because that he didn't want to commit to an entire franchise.
Yeah, that was like a reason why Joaquin Phoenix kept declining like a lot of roles. And then oddly enough, I guess Joker pulled him in and finally made him drop that.
Oh yeah, I believe that's his first sequel.
Joker, the Joker sequel is going to be his first sequel.
Yeah, I guess that's something that him and Jim Carrey have in common. They weren't into sequels for the longest time.
Well, with Jim Carrey, he did a sequel to Ace Ventura, but when it turned out to be not as good as the first one, that's when he developed a distaste for sequels. So you had like a bunch of sequels to Jim Carrey movies that did not have Jim Carrey.
Like Son of the Mask,
Dumb and Dumber, Evan Almighty.
There also was Ace Ventura Jr.
But then eventually he did a proper Dumb and Dumber sequel. Then, of course, he did the Sonic movies. So
yeah, and Sonic is pretty much all that he does now. And so, yeah, So
Dr. Fate into the future, and Doctor Strange can, I forget what he does. Controls time, I guess. At least in the MCU.
I mean, but a similarity between the both of them is that they are both, sorcerers, basically. They use magic.
Yeah.
And here's a messed up difference between Doctor Strange and Dr. Fate. So in Dr. Fate's case, Dr. Fate is like basically this magical force or like being that's inside the helmet that Dr. Fate wears. And essentially, once a person puts on that helmet and becomes Dr. Fate, the being inside the helmet does not want them to take it off. Like in Young Justice, for example, like the animated series.
Yeah.
At one point, so you also have two magician characters in like DC. They are Zatara and Zatanna.
Was that the Wonder Twins from the Super Friends?
No. So Zatara is like a wizard, and then Zatanna is his daughter.
Oh. I was thinking of the twin things.
So what happens is they get like in this big fight, and so the original user of the Dr. Fate helmet has passed away. And the being inside the Dr. Fate helmet is like, the world needs Dr. Fate. Somebody's got to wear this helmet. And once somebody puts this helmet on, they're not taking it off. Dr. Fate needs to help be there for the world right now. So, in one fight, this big fight, Zatanna ends up putting on the Dr. Fate helmet, like in a last-ditch effort to like beat like whatever the villain was. But now, Dr. Fate doesn't want to let her go. So ultimately, Zatara has to bargain his own life so that Dr. Fate will release Zatanna, and Dr. Fate agrees. I don't know how it functions in other continuities, but that's how Dr. Fate usually goes with. Doctor Strange, on the other hand, doesn't have that limitation, I don't think. Other than being bound to protecting the Sanctum Sanctorium, I suppose.
Yeah, like Iron Man, I learned about him via the Spider-Man series. I think, in fact, they might have been in the same episode or close to it.
Maybe. I don't think they were in this. Well, the episode with Iron Man had Dormammu and Baron Mordo, who are like Doctor Strange villains, but I don't think Doctor Strange was in that episode.
Okay.
Yeah, like they were like Doctor Strange villains were in there, but I don't think Doctor Strange himself. Although I do think Doctor Strange and Iron Man like team up during the Secret Wars thing, or maybe Doctor Strange wasn't there. Let me look it up.
What you, Eric? What do you know about the two of these?
Both have, both deal with magic. Both have like these, can do magic with like their hands. They both have a cape, but the cape is a pretty vague similarity. So I know Doctor Strange's cape, has like a mind of its own. Is that the case for Dr. Fate's cape?
I think that it's more like the helmet has a mind of its own than the cape in his case. At least from what I saw, Black Adam.
So yeah, it definitely would be a good matchup.
Oh, so Doctor Strange was not with the Secret Wars episodes in Spider-Man, only Iron Man.
Yeah, I guess maybe I got more confused with Doctor Strange than.
Yeah, because I think the Doctor Strange episode introduces Baron Mordo and Dormammu, but then they later come back, like in the episode that has Iron Man. Like specifically, that's the episode with Venom and Carnage.
Yeah. And that's the first one in that universe where we see that Venom could be a good guy if he wanted to be.
Yeah. Because don't forget, like around the time the animated series was made, Venom was still a pretty new villain in the comics. I think so, and definitely was Carnage.
Yeah, Venom showed up in like 98 in the comics, I believe.
88 in the comics, I think.
88. Yeah, 88, 98, somewhere around there.
Yeah. Wasn't Hobgoblin also a new villain?
I think so.
Yeah, because I think there were like rights issues with the Green Goblin, which is why they used the Hobgoblin first on that show. I just remember there was a DVD for the animated series, and there was like a bonus feature where they would like go like into like bios for like the different villains that appeared in the series. And every villain had like commentary from Stan Lee himself. And Hobgoblin had the shortest one. It literally went like this. So Hobgoblin was another villain I didn't create, and I don't know much about him. So I'm just going to say he's just like the Goblin.
I've been hearing talks saying that Ned from the new Tom Holland Spider-Man movies is eventually going to become the Hob.
I think he is in the comics. He did become Hobgoblin.
Yeah, but in the comics it was because he was brainwashed. He wasn't the actual Hobgoblin. He was framed and they brainwashed him and like framed them for it kind of. But it could happen because right now he has no idea that Spider-Man's his best friend because of the memory wipe. So it's a possibility that
It definitely could work.
yeah, either he does it on purpose, because he doesn't have anymore, or trying to get his memory back because he knows something's missing. He goes to the wrong person, and they hypnotize. I can't talk. Hypnotize them,
Yeah.
and that might bring either that would make Peters go both directions. One, he realizes his friends do need him, or two, he'll think that, oh great, I am a bigger threat than I thought I was, and go even further away.
Wow.
But number 9.
Who's the left person?
The Atom from DC.
Okay. He was also in Black Adam.
I didn't see Black Adam, so
They both can grow and shrink.
okay. So that's what.
Yeah. So the version of the Atom I know the best is the one that's in the picture. He's played by Brandon Routh, who's curiously also known for playing Superman in Superman Returns. He was on the Arrowverse, and like he was one of the main cast members on Legends of Tomorrow for like quite a few years.
Yeah, and then Brandon Routh eventually got a second chance of being Superman.
Yeah, and in that big crossover episode,
which was great for him that he got a second chance.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I don't know anything about Adam other than he shrinks in size like Ant-Man. So he's pretty much the DC version.
Basically, and another difference is that, well, unlike Ant-Man, he doesn't control ants.
Well, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah,
does he need a suit to do it like Ant-Man does, or can he do it without the suit?
He has to do it with the suit.
Okay, so that's one similarity.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Ant-Man, they use what's called PIM particles to shrink and grow, I think.
Yeah, I don't know what they use with the Atom, but they use something. Like, I don't think they give it a name.
I didn't even see the Black Adam movie. Was it any good?
It was decent.
That's what I heard. I heard it was either okay or just not that very good.
It's pretty much Shazam with The Rock.
What's that noise?
I guess I pocket dialed somebody by mistake.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah, and surprisingly, Black Adam underperformed at the box office because Dwayne The Rock Johnson has been like box office gold. Like if you put him in a movie, the movie will make a crap ton of money. But Black Adam underperformed, even though it had Dwayne The Rock Johnson in it.
And that's the reason I saw the movie to begin with, because I was down on DC movies, so The Rock is in it. Might as well see it.
Yeah, so maybe people are just getting tired of seeing him in movies, because there was at one point where he was in like every movie.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why people are just getting tired of seeing him.
Could be.
Also, might be because the storyline wasn't that great.
Yeah, the movie is so.
Sometimes it doesn't matter how great an actor it is. If the storyline, the director is terrible, then the movie's gonna be terrible.
Yeah, and if the movie itself sucks, yeah. I can see that. I don't feel like there's anything else to say. So.
Yeah, there's
We're
not.
talking about Black Adam and not the Atom himself.
Speaking of Black Adam, Shazam.
I heard the Captain Marvel movie wasn't that very good.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't. I mean, I know some friends of mine kind of simp for Brie Larson, but in the lead up to the movie's release, like she said some things that were very controversial. I mean, my understanding is that she doesn't talk like that anymore, but
Yeah. Yeah, I think that from what I've heard, that one of the biggest complaints about the not the actor itself, but the character is she was like a Mary Sue.
Basically, the thing with Captain Marvel is that they kind of make her too invincible. Like, even like in Avengers Endgame, they make it where she's like, oh, I could do this all by myself, but then like the other characters insist on going with her. And during like the final battle, you get it to where she's able to single-handedly like get Thanos into a stun lock. He tries punching her, it doesn't phase her. He has to grab the Power Stone, put it in his fist, and then punch her to get rid of her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's why they telling stories of like Captain. I mean, my understanding is that's generally just how Captain Marvel is, and that's why it's tough to tell stories with her, because it's like, how are you gonna? It's kind of similar to Superman, maybe in that regard, because it's like, how are you gonna factor in like the overpowered stuff? And there's another reason because I put this picture, I put like the last few pictures in. Here's the thing, Shazam had an original name. He wasn't always called Shazam. You know what his original name was?
What?
Captain Marvel.
No shit.
Yup. He was called
What a
Captain
coincidence.
Marvel. Like in the old comics, like back like in the 70s, like in his one appearance on Justice League Unlimited, in Mortal Kombat versus DC, he was under the name Captain Marvel.
Wasn't there also a female version of him too, like Mary or something?
I don't know about DC, but I know that the Marvel Captain Marvel used to be male.
Yeah,
because originally Carol Danvers' Captain Marvel was known as Ms. Marvel.
Yeah, but I do remember someone. There was a DC Shazam. I look at Mary something. I remember comics about it.
I mean, I'm not too sure about that, but I mean, all I know is that originally the Captain Marvel in the Marvel comics, Captain Marvel was a man, like like a blue alien. Then Ms. Marvel was Carol Danvers back then, but then they made Carol Danvers Captain Marvel, and admittedly, her Captain Marvel's probably more well remembered than the original one, because the original one didn't appear in anything, to my knowledge. Like, all I remember the original Captain Marvel from is when he was a bonus character in Marvel Ultimate Alliance on the PSP version only. So, and now you have another character called Kamala Khan, who is the new Ms. Marvel. So there's that.
Yes, I was right. Mary Marvel, the twin sister of Billy Batson, Mary Batson.
Ah.
It could also go.
But yeah, so I think the last DC production to use the Captain Marvel name was Young Justice. Like for season 1 and maybe season 2, they still used the name Captain Marvel to refer to him. But by the mid-2010s, they were finally tired of the confusion, and DC finally officially changed his name to Shazam.
But
I think, and some things before that, like Injustice, were using Shazam anyway.
But I thought something. The reason I liked the reason I like Shazam more than other DC movies is like him. I was also in the foster care system, so I know how that is. It wasn't that bad. I was in it earlier, but so yeah, I had the memories of that. But also the reason I liked Marvel versus DC is because I think, at least in my opinion, again, the Marvel characters, the DC is more big fight, the fight, more about the fight of the enemies, and well, the Marvel characters are more about the personality of the heroes.
Yeah,
like we see the arcs, Tony's arc going from weapons dealer to whatever the hero. They all have arcs kind of like where at least from what I remember that the big DC ones are about the thing. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
But yeah. So difference is Shazam can turn his powers on and off. I don't think Marvel
Captain
can.
Marvel can.
She can?
I don't know. She can. She definitely doesn't do it the way a Shazam does. See, I don't know a whole lot about Captain Marvel. I only know a little bit more about Shazam.
I heard the Shazam movie actually was not that bad.
It was, yeah, it actually was considered like one of the better DC movies.
All right, what's next?
Before we move on to this one, I just remembered one episode of Young Justice where Shazam played a crucial role. Essentially, one of the villains made it to where the Earth was split into two. One Earth contained nothing but kids under the age of 18. And the other had all the adults. But for each other, all the adults and all the kids disappeared. So, like, for the adults, all the kids disappeared, and for all the kids, the adults disappeared. So, Shazam played a crucial role in that episode because he was the only character who could travel between dimensions. He appeared to the adults in his Shazam form, and then he appeared to the kids as Billy Batson.
Actually, that's pretty not neat, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Green
Goblin and Joker.
It's actually pretty funny because Mark Hamill, probably the best known voice of the Joker, he was also not the voice of Green Goblin, but he voiced Hobgoblin on like the Spider-Man animated series.
That's
really?
Yeah.
And people have been saying that William Dafoe actually should be the Joker.
Some people, yeah, like elements of like Willem Dafoe's Joker, like in the 2002 Spider-Man and No Way Home, are very Joker-like.
Who I also think would be a good Joker. I'm not saying this because I'm biased. I think he actually would make a good Joker. I actually would love to see Jim Carrey as the Joker because Jim Carrey just screams that role.
I mean, he did play the Riddler in Batman Forever, so.
I know, but I mean, they're also having actors who have played two different comic book characters, like say Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck was both Daredevil and then afterwards he played Batman. So I think you could get away with that.
Maybe, yeah.
So they're both are pretty much mentally crazy, I think.
Yep.
Yes. Green Goblin is a lot more split personality, like where he goes between the Goblin and Norman Osborn, whereas the Joker just is.
Yeah. So yeah, the Green Goblin's pretty much like a modern day version of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Yeah. Well, but and sometimes, but in his case at least, I'm not sure how good Dr. Jekyll was, but Norman Osborn.
In fairness, you're probably not sure how good Norman Osborn is either.
Yeah, that's what I said. He most of the. Except when it comes to his son, sometimes most of the time, Norman is already on the bad side to begin with before he becomes Green Goblin. Like in the animated series, again, he's already working with the Kingpin as Norman before.
Yeah, I think Spectacular Spider-Man also had Norman like on the bad side. Like, even like in the Sam Raimi movie, like I think he was like kind of ambiguous a little bit.
But
Yeah,
yeah, and the Joker, at least in the as for Joker in the original '89 Batman, he was the one that killed Batman's parents.
Yeah,
yep,
but in most continuities, the Joker's backstory is like very mysterious.
yeah. Unless you're talking about the '89 Batman movie, and and also even the Joaquin Phoenix Joker. But for the most part, the Joker is rather mysterious.
Yeah,
And
that's another thing. The new one, the Joker one, he didn't kill him directly, but he caused the riot that got him killed in that
Yeah.
movie.
yep, which and then caused Bruce Wayne's parents to get killed.
As I was saying.
Yeah.
Because I mean, in the animated series, it's established that he was like a mob hitman, like before he became Joker. Then let's see. Then there's the Killing Joke comic, which had him as like a failed stand-up comedian who used to work for the chemical plant, and then he ends up helping out a couple of mobsters, like do a robbery at the chemical plant or something, and then Batman like comes in and then knocks him in the chemicals, and that getting knocked into the chemicals combined with his entire life going to shit just made him snap and go crazy.
And that's the same, almost the same way, kind of that they did in the '89 Batman movie.
Kind of. Except in the '89 movie, he was always a gangster, like who killed his parents and everything.
Yeah, I think they in the anime wasn't they backstory the Mask of the Phantasm. We learned his backstory.
In Mask of the Phantasm, he was just a gangster. Like he killed the Phantasm's dad. But otherwise he was in the '89 movie, he was given a name, Jack Napier, but in the animated series, he's unnamed. He does use Jack Napier a couple of times, but it's implied to just be an alias. And then let's see, then the Dark Knight makes him super mysterious. But, I mean,
Isn't there a thing that was that this with Heath Ledger that people that play Joker have need therapy afterwards or whatever?
I'm not too sure about that. I think Mark Hamill has not needed therapy. Neither has Jack Nicholson. Neither has
Maybe it's just maybe it's the way Heath Ledger played him or something.
maybe.
Because I don't know who.
Oh, sorry.
So because I know I have no idea what had to do with the Joker or not when he committed suicide afterwards.
No, I don't know. Like, he didn't commit suicide. He accidentally OD'd.
Yeah, and from what I heard, even Jack Nicholson even tried to warn Heath Ledger about it.
Wow.
You know, about playing the Joker role. So I don't know how true that is. But yeah, so it would be a good fight.
They mentioned this. He mentioned this in his review. The South Crit did, but I don't know. A lot of people complain about the mask and the Sam Raimi thing.
Yeah, yeah, and from what I heard, they were trying to make like trying to have it be more comic book accurate, trying to have like the face be expressive, but then they scrapped that just for the helmet. And then for Spider-Man No Way Home, William Dafoe was such a good actor by the fact that they didn't even need him to even wear makeup or anything. He's just that good of an actor. So yeah, so that's why a lot of people prefer Williams' performance in No Way Home, and I can definitely see why.
I mean, because they did keep the mask, like the promotional materials, but they get rid of it pretty quickly.
They did, yeah.
But it's funny because I actually did not mind the mask, like in the original movie, all that much.
I didn't
I don't
mind
know
either.
why. Lots of
but
people
also it's
compare
nice
it
to see the
unfavorably to like a Power Ranger cut villain costume.
I've heard a lot of people
Yeah.
say that.
Right, like you said, you can see how expressive his face is in the No Way Home between the two different versions of himself.
Mhm.
Yeah. Supposedly, like Eric was saying before, that that they were like planning like a more comic accurate mask, but then they dropped it either because it looked too silly or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure what their reasoning was.
Yeah.
All right, next one?
Oh yes, yes. I would.
Unfortunately, I don't know too much about Spider-Man 2099.
I don't either. I'm vaguely familiar with it. Batman Beyond, I'm very familiar with. This would
Yeah.
be this. This would be good.
I think with Spider-Man 2099, well, I know his real civilian name. It's Miguel O'Hara. Like, he's gonna be in the new Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Like, he was a post-credit scene in Into the Spider-Verse, but he's gonna have a bigger role in Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, it is going to be played by the guy who played Finn, I believe, or
No, no, you're thinking of Poe Dameron. I think he plays him.
Yeah. Poe, yeah. Oscar Isaac, I believe.
Oscar Isaac, yeah.
Yep. He's going to do the voice.
Yeah, so what little I know about Miguel O'Hara is that I think he was like inspired by Peter Parker's like hero work, and like he recreated like the spider that like gave him his powers or like something like that, and to give him himself like spider powers. Maybe,
yeah.
I'm not sure.
But yeah, both of the suits even look similar. Both of them have like the black and red, and yeah, both of them even look like they have like claws. So
No, I'm not. I don't know about. I know Batman Beyond, but I don't know. Was similar? Was did a past Spider-Man train like Batman?
I do not think a past Spider-Man trained Spider-Man 2099.
Like Batman Beyond had the old Batman as a mentor.
Yeah, like. Yeah, I think Spider-Man 2099 just trained himself.
So basically, the similarities is they're both from the future, both future versions.
That's basically, I think, the only similarity I could think of. They're both from the future,
and their suits are similar. But yeah, I think with Spider-Man 2099, I think by then Peter Parker was already dead. So,
whereas Bruce Wayne was still alive, because obviously, like, it's Spider-Man 2099 was way farther into the future, because Batman Beyond is only like 40 years after like the animated series and like Justice League and all that, because they didn't want to say Bruce Wayne's age during Batman Beyond, I guess, but then later they confirmed he was about 80. So, yeah, and later they also had the Justice League Unlimited episode revealing that the whole time Terry, Batman, like the guy in the Batman Beyond suit, was actually his son the whole time.
Yeah, and there were mixed reactions about that.
Yeah.
What do you think? To me, that sounds stupid to me, but what do you?
I mean, they don't do it the way you think they would. Like, basically, the way they explain it is that, one time that Project Cadmus, Amanda Waller, took a sample of Bruce Wayne's blood, like after a fight, and then somehow they used that blood when Terry was conceived, and it overwrote the DNA of his father.
Yeah, that just sounds absurd.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's how they explain it.
It's absurd, and Terry already had a compelling backstory. It's absurd.
I was thinking maybe Miles could have trained other Spider-Man, but no, probably too far in the future for even Miles to
Probably.
train him.
But yeah, this is something that I would love to see. Maybe someday, if Disney buys Warner Brothers, we can see it. But until then, only in comic book form. And maybe
I mean, in fairness, we haven't seen a whole lot of Batman Beyond outside the DCAU, which is a real shame.
it is a shame. I mean, I believe he was like a downloadable suit in like the Arkham games.
And I think he was also a downloadable suit for maybe Injustice.
Maybe. I'm not sure.
And it's funny because most of what I know from Spider-Man 2099 is from the game Spider-Man Edge of Time. Because the 2099 version is one of the main characters, like with the original Spider-Man. And coincidentally, they have Peter Parker voiced by Josh Keaton from Spectacular Spider-Man, and then Miguel O'Hara is voiced by Christopher Daniel Barnes from the 90s series. And I mean, they also had the two of them in Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions, which brought together 4 Spider-Man actors, not just Josh Keaton and Christopher Daniel Barnes, but it also had Neil Patrick Harris from like the 2003 CG series. Yeah. And it had the one from Spider-Man His Amazing Friends. I forget what his name is.
Oh. Wasn't there a Spider-Man in the late 90s after the anime series where...
Oh, Spider-Man Unlimited?
Where he went to this planet...
That one was more directly made to try and compete with Batman Beyond.
Yeah, he went to a planet full of animals, I think. Animal
and that one didn't do so well. The only thing... some people do remember Spider-Man Unlimited. They did confirm that Spider-Man Unlimited is going to be in Across the Spider-Verse.
Okay, so...
And his actor, like the guy who played Spider-Man in that series, Rino Romano, also did the voice in the PS1 game.
Wasn't there a rumor... Isn't there a rumor, or was there a rumor that Tom Holland was going to be Across the Spider-Verse?
I think that is an ongoing rumor, yeah.
His character...
I heard there even was a rumor he was going to be in Into the Spider-Verse, but they scrapped that.
Yeah. Like, I think there was rumors that he was going to be in, so were Toby and Andrew, but then they cut them to, like, I guess not be distracting.
And then they saved it for No Way Home.
Yeah.
I think was better anyway, because people would want to physically
see them, yeah.
Yeah, physically see them, so...
That said, they do wonder if they're going to appear in Across the Spider-Verse. Like, so far, for Across the Spider-Verse, they confirmed Spider-Man Unlimited, Spectacular Spider-Man, PS4 Spider-Man, and they confirmed Japanese Spider-Man.
Wait, you're talking about the Spider-Man that was like Power Ranger style, right?
Yeah.
That Spider-Man's going to show up?
Apparently, yes. I think complete with that Super Sentai robot.
I'm excited to see that. I never thought they ever would bring that Spider-Man back.
Yeah. Vandalia, if you didn't know, that Japanese Spider-Man invented Power Ranger Megazords because Super Sentai did not have Megazords until Spider-Man did it.
Wow.
So Spider-Man is partially responsible for Power Rangers.
Yeah, like Super Sentai existed before Japanese Spider-Man, but it was Japanese Spider-Man that introduced the Megazords.
Yeah, the more you know.
So how much more do we have?
About 3 or 4 more slides. Hulk versus
It is getting late, and I do have to work tomorrow, so I don't know how much longer I can be on. So if you guys have to continue on without me, then I understand.
This is why I wish you. Sometimes I wish you worked a little bit earlier, but it is what it is.
Oh well.
All right, Hulk versus
Solomon Grundy.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is, but
I know who. Go on.
Yeah, I know Solomon. He was I've seen him before in the like the Super Friends, one of the just Legion of Doom characters, an old 70s thing.
Yeah, I mean, so Solomon Grundy is a zombie, basically. Like, he's undead. So that's one key difference. I mean, the similarities that they're both bruisers and they both talk like in the first person. At least some versions.
Also, I think, like I don't know if Namor is a villain or hero. He played a villain in the Black Panther movies, but obviously in here, hero he's more of a villain than a hero. Hulk's more of the hero, in most cases.
Yeah.
I don't think, except for very rare cases, I've seen things where Hulk is a villain, like when he beats up people.
Oh yeah, there is a villain version of the Hulk called, I think, Maestro, I think.
I can't remember. Apparently, there's also a comic version of the Hulk where maybe it was Maestro, where they sent him off of Earth and they came back and killed a lot of people in the rage.
Maybe, but so Maestro is basically like an old man Hulk. Basically, that's what he looks like.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know much about Salman Grandi besides his appearance in the old Batman series.
Most of what I know from Solomon Grundy is like from Justice League and all, like Justice League and the DCAU. Like, all I know is that the similarities between them is that they're both like big brutes in most continuities, and they both have Hulk speak.
I do wish they would go. Speaking of Hulk, I do wish they would go back sometime in the future, and we could see how he became Smart Hulk.
Oh yeah,
because he did it off screen. Let's see. Next one is Vision, and I'm not sure who the DC guy is.
I can type the name in chat if I can get there. Yeah, I have to look the name up.
Okay.
Come on. All right, here it is. I found it.
Red Tornado. I had never heard of him before.
Basically, all you need to know is that he's basically the DC counterpart of Vision, note for note. They're both androids. They both have like extreme intelligence. They're both lots of times function as mission control.
All right. Has he appeared in anything recently?
He was in Young Justice. I believe he was also like in Justice League Unlimited. That's all I know.
All right. So both cyborgs, both.
I think the main difference is that while Vision's original backstory is that he was originally a villain created by Ultron, but then he turned good.
Yeah, voiced by the same character, same voice actor that used to play Jarvis in
at least in the MCU, yeah.
Green Arrow versus Hawkeye.
Well, they're both archers. Also, Green Arrow is a billionaire, much like Bruce Wayne is. Whereas I don't think Hawkeye is.
Yeah, I think you're right. I do remember in the Smallville series, he was a rich guy that was friends with Lex, I think.
And then in Arrow, he starts out as a billionaire, but then gradually he loses his fortune. Funny thing is I believe he was used on Smallville because they couldn't use Bruce Wayne. Like, they didn't have the rights.
Weird. Was it like a Marvel thing where they sold the rights to other companies, or was it?
No, it was just something called the Bat embargo, most likely. If you don't know what that is, at that time, DC was concerned that viewers would be confused if there were more than one version of characters at a single time. So as a result, they loved putting characters off limits. I mean, oddly enough, there would be exceptions. Like, sometimes Batman himself would be excluded, though not from Smallville, apparently. But other than that, they would reserve characters for one adaptation, and one adaptation only. Like, all the others would not be allowed to use them.
Even if it was a different time, even if it was a different time zone, like Smallville was early in Superman's career.
Yeah, it did not matter. Like, if generally they only allowed one version and one version only. Like, The Batman, the animated series, like, the one where, like, Joker, like, didn't wear shoes, like, jumped around acrobatic, and, like, the one where, Clayface was, like, Bruce Wayne's friend.
Like, was that the one where he used to be a detective in that one cartoon series, and Joker made him the Clayface?
Yeah, Joker made him that one, yeah. So, the reason they had that Clayface backstory was because they couldn't use Harvey Dent. They couldn't use Two-Face. Because Two-Face was reserved for the Christopher Nolan movies.
Yeah, I know, at least in the MCU, like this super fast, Hawkeye can use different arrows. Does Green Arrow have different arrows, or just normal arrows?
He might. I think he might. Also, well, then again, both Green Arrow and Hawkeye had their phases where they went, like, dark. Because Arrow in tone was very similar to the Christopher Nolan Batman. Like, for a good chunk of it.
Okay. And at least I know other versions, but I know Hawkeye went rogue during the blip when his family was vaporized.
Yeah.
Now, what was it not mentioned on here, but I talked about this on Twitter, that I thought maybe Spider-Man and Robin had a connection, kind of like a little bit.
Maybe if you count how they're like apprentices to, like, certain characters. But even then, Spider-Man's only sometimes.
Yeah, but I meant more with their acrobatic things, because
maybe I'm not too sure on that,
because I know at least the original one, Dick Grayson used to be a trapeze artist family, and
yeah.
And also, I thought about too. The other thing I thought about is they both have younger apprentices. Like Dick Grayson has Jason. I forget his name now. The younger Spider-Man, Robin, later on replaces him, and Peter Parker has Miles Morales.
Well, I think you might when Dick Grayson becomes Nightwing, you might be thinking of Tim Drake.
That's his name, Tim Drake.
Yeah, because there was a Robin in between, Jason Todd, but I don't think Dick Grayson had much to do with him.
I meant Tim Drake. I don't count everyone. All I know about Jason Todd is the Joker killed him.
Jason Todd's tenure as Robin was infamously short-lived because I guess people were mad that Dick Grayson was not Robin anymore. So DC infamously held a poll that decided if Jason Todd lived or died, and I guess the poll went in favor of him dying. But then later they brought back Jason Todd as the Red Hood.
So how come they were bad with them, but they were okay with Tim Drake replacing them later on?
I do not know. I don't know why they were okay with Tim Drake.
Because I remember him in the '90s Batman series later on as the younger Robin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Needless to say, that might be the reason why the DCAU skipped Jason Todd entirely.
Is that cool to have the cartoon get murdered on in front of all the kids on the thing?
That may also be the same reason why Spider-Man the Animated Series skipped over Gwen Stacy.
Yeah, I think she was in the newer Spider-Man cartoons later on in the 2000s, but they didn't kill her off there.
Yeah,
Okay,
she was in Spectacular Spider-Man, but they announced they were never going to kill her off.
So what did I miss?
We talked about the Green Arrow and Hawkeye for a bit.
Okay, I don't know much about those two. So.
And then we talked about the Spider-Mans and the Robins.
Okay, so pretty much, wait, Spider-Man and Robins, I
thought about them because they're both acrobatic, kind of.
Oh, okay. At first, I thought that you were hinting at that Spider-Man had a sidekick, kind of like Batman with Robin. I was like, wait, when did?
I mean, they are kind of going that angle now in some continuities, like in the PS4 universe with Miles Morales.
Or I guess you could argue in Spider-Man No Way Home, Spider-Man kind of did have sidekicks, but just alternate versions of himself. So you could argue that.
Yeah.
Rather than that.
But yeah, so.
All right. So overall, what's your opinion on the two universes?
I feel like that there's things to like and dislike about both. I really dislike it when people say, "Oh, you have to choose one or the other." I feel like that's a false. I feel like that's a false dichotomy fallacy. You know, you don't have to choose either one. I mean, granted, there might be some people who do like one more than the other, and that's great. You know, it's a matter of opinion, but you can like both.
Yeah, I do like both, but like I said, getting at this, I think the movies currently favor the Marvel side more than DC side, at least in the current setup.
Me personally, I have a little bit more nostalgia for DC than I do Marvel, but you know, I do like them both.
Yeah, like I said at the beginning of this that I think Marvel had the better games and better movies, but DC has the better animation.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
And but like I said, it's like people that fight over Star Trek and Star Wars.
Yeah.
But Star Trek and Star Wars, like aside from them both being in space, they don't actually have too much in common.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, so I know Stick doesn't have anything planned for his future channel because you don't do much on your channel anymore. What about you, Eric? What's coming up on your channel?
Well, for Eric the Tyrannoceratops, I've been working on a video debunking vaccines cause autism. That video has required a lot of research. And for Eric Beerthrower 92, I'm planning on making the third Things That Piss Me Off movie. And yeah, that's. Oh yeah, and during my school semester, what I have planned just to keep my subscribers occupied, I downloaded a ton of movies that are in the public domain, and every Monday and Wednesday at 5 p.m. Mountain Time, I decided that I am going to stream a public domain movie from this month all the way on until May. So yeah,
when is your
be occupied?
So when is your first day back in school?
January 18th.
Hopefully this time around you'll have the money for school.
Oh, I do, yes. So yeah, and let's also hope I'm not going to have a flat earther in my class again like last semester. Oh my god,
that's hilarious. Too bad you go there because I would have wanted an update every so often about your. the flat Earth. Was it in geology class, or what class was that
No,
in?
it was in pre-algebra.
Oh, okay. Okay,
What
never mind
scares
that.
me? She said that she's going in for an education major. And then she said, yeah, I know what the truth is. I so badly wanted to say bullshit. No, you do not.
I like
And she's an education major. And she
teaching the
believes
next
in a
generation.
flat earth. That scares me.
Wow.
It's so easily refutable. You don't even need a PhD. I mean,
hey, your autism
look at
thing
Solar
is
Eclipse, for crying out
it going to be a live stream or going to be a recorded video?
What do you mean?
Like your vaccine's called autism. Is it going to be
Oh, the
live?
vaccine. It's gonna be, it's gonna be a video that's already made.
Okay.
I think I might premiere it live.
I was gonna say if you need me or something to be on it, help you with it, I'll be free that if I'm free that day, I can be on with you. But if it's already recorded,
But yeah, it's not gonna be a live stream. The video's not done yet. But yeah, if you want to chime in, record your part,
okay.
I'm down for that.
Could I say one thing that I might not have mentioned last time?
What?
So earlier, I mentioned a YouTube channel called DL Jado. Well, recently he did a review of a game called Mindjack. I doubt either of you heard of that, but it was considered like one of the worst games on like the PS3 and the 360. Well, me and another moderator of his Discord actually helped him getting multiplayer footage of that game.
Okay.
And I decided to record my gameplay of it, and I put it on my channel. So it gave me something to do on my channel for once.
So if you guys want to check that out, go to Stick 1990 and check out that game.
Yep.
Yeah,
Alrighty,
it sucks. The game sucks. You can see us laughing about how much it sucked.
Oh, I can imagine. Well, anyways, I have to get going, so you all have a fantastic night.
Yeah, see ya. As always, never stop learning, enjoy the randomness. We'll see y'all next time. Bye.